Hi.
Hello.
So welcome to the Joy of Drawing course, and it's based on this book written by myself and Katie, and we're two Brits that love to draw, right, Katie?
We do, indeed.
And we met some time back, and we both discovered we had this equal love of drawing, and it started when we were very young. And we began teaching some friends to draw. And you can read all about it in the beginning. And we had to take the steps ourselves to find out how could we teach people who are coming to drawing a little bit later on in life and haven't had the joy of doing what we did. Like Katie, how did you learn?
Yeah, I think there are certain fundamental skills that we both built through our art education, and through just the years of making art that we both take for granted.
Exactly. And for
Yeah.
example, just recently, a student was saying to me, "Oh, I cheated because I actually, I traced this," and that's not cheating. That's just an early step in the drawing
Absolutely.
process. That's
Yeah.
an early step that you take. And to us, well, we did that a lot,
Yeah.
8, 9, or 10. By the
Yeah.
time we were 15, well, we didn't need to do that because we had enough visual vocabulary that we didn't need it. But to begin with, you do need to do that. So that is one of the steps that you'll learn in this class. So, don't worry if you're copying, if you're that, it's not a 4-letter word. I say copy is not a 4-letter word. So in this class, what we're going to be doing is going over the absolute fundamentals. It's going to go right from the really raw. We found we had to dig right in, didn't we, Katie?
Yeah, absolutely. Go right back to the basics. So yeah, I'm excited to get going.
Yeah. So let's get started. So this is lesson 1, your drawing tools. And in here you see the different tools that you'll be needing for all of the classes, actually. And at the beginning of chapter 1, fundamentals, we actually give a whole list of materials that you're going to need. You don't have to buy them all at once, but you will need them all by the time you're finished with the book. And very often you can get very decent sets of materials. So but they need to have these key elements, and we're actually going to demonstrate each of the key types of tools that you will be needing throughout doing this exercises and throughout the classes that we're going to be sending to you, right, Katie?
Yeah, that's right. On page 8, actually, we show you all of the tools that you need.
Yeah, you can get them from most art stores. You could get them from Michael's. You can get them from Amazon if you don't want to go out. It's really pretty easy. And we're going to start with some exercises about pencils, telling you all pencils are actually not the same. And you see different types here. So Katie's got a little demo she's going to do for you. So do you want to talk us through the demo, Katie?
Sure. Yeah, so I want you to copy this. I actually want you to do this. So you may already have some pencils at home. So I want you to get those out and lay them all out in a row. And if you can line them up so you can see this, the letter on the ends. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them in order almost, aren't I, Caroline?
Exactly. Like you see at the top, it says 2H. That means hard. HB is a sort of general purpose pencil, meaning it's hard. Black, meaning it's right in the middle. 6B means very black, meaning it's very soft and smudgy. So you see that, Katie, you've got them in sequence, right?
Yeah, and again, I want you to do this. I'm going to actually demonstrate
That's
what
one of the exercises. You don't have to do it right now, but we'll give you a chance. So now Katie's demonstrating. So you can see now with the hard pencil, very light. These are used by engineers, etc. They're very light, but they're hard. Now we get the regular common or garden pencil, and that's an HB. And that's
right.
what you usually pick up and draw or write with. Now we're getting a bit softer. You see each one gets a little bit blacker, right, Katie?
Yeah, that's right. So it's more graphite. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the graphite in the pencil. So that's a 2B. Again, as long as you have this range between kind of a HB, a B, 2B, that's the kind of range that we're talking about when we talk about doing your drawings.
Yeah, you don't need to have every single one, but you minimally need a 4B or a 6B and an HB. Like those two are vital.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to need those. And you'll need your 6B, 4Bs and 6Bs by the third video. The second video, basically, if you've got an HB, you know, you're going to be totally fine. We don't need that. So now you see Katie's line them up against you. And now, Katie, I think you're going to do another little demonstration, right?
Yeah, so the other pencil that we, you know, a lot of us used in school, that was called a number 2. So you might have seen it as like a yellow pencil. So I just wanted to let you know that was actually the same kind of graphite as the HB.
Yeah, so you might find those, you know, if you've got a grandchild or a child in the house, they got bunches of pencil, it might say number 2. And then, see, so it's the same as an HB.
Yeah, there's also another pencil, isn't there, called an F, which I don't have here. And that an F grade is the same as a HB grade,
Yeah.
but it just means it can be sharpened to a finer point. So that's
And
that.
sharpening is actually the next step. You really get what you pay for when you buy a sharpener. And we do recommend that you get a decent sharpener and one that that holds all of your leavings, because makes it easier. You can also use a knife if you want to, but you don't need to. But you really do get what you pay for. Cheap sharpeners are not helpful at all. They kind of wreck the pencils quite easily. So recommend you get a decent sharpener. And now we're gonna give you a little demo about erasers, because not all erasers are the same. So Katie's gonna demonstrate the two basic types of eraser, which is the hard one, which you can see at the bottom, the pink pearl or the stapler, and the kneaded rubber eraser, which you can see the Prismacolor. You can buy these, and they often come in sets when you're buying all your materials together. So Katie, I want you to walk us through the demo you're going to do here.
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to show you a little bit about the kneaded eraser. So when you take it out of the piece of plastic, you actually need to do that. You need to knead it because it comes out kind of hard. So you knead it into a ball or into something that's soft. And I actually do sometimes take a little bit off that kneaded eraser so I can do some detail. That's quite a handy thing to do. So I want you to test that out as well and have a go at doing that after the demo. So you can see here, I'm taking the kneaded eraser, making it into kind of a finer point, and then I'm using it to actually take and blot off almost, aren't I, Caroline?
Like a blotter. Yeah, you see, like when you're using a hard eraser, you can blot, but it's not as successful. But the kneaded eraser blots it off, because if you rub with your eraser, you're likely to smudge the graphite.
Yeah, so you can see here, it's actually smudged it rather than actually taking anything
smudge. So it doesn't work as well for doing this type of painting, drawing, where it's very fine. Yeah. So much better to use your kneaded eraser, correct?
Yeah, so I've decided here that I've got too much graphite on the paper. So I'm taking the kneaded eraser and I'm actually blotting out a lot of that kind of surface graphite. And just to be aware that the kneaded eraser you can use with like chalk and charcoal as well. So it's definitely something you need to have in your kit. So now I can go back in and I can use my pencil to go back in on the bits that I've decided I'm going to do.
And when it gets a bit dirty, all you do is just roll it around again, and it just kind of, it works. You don't have to worry too much.
Yeah, I mean, they do dry out, so it's something that you do need to put back in your piece of plastic or keep in your tool, and it's something you might have to obviously.
Yeah, you could get a little one of those little tiny plastic bags, you know, those teeny weeny ones. Yeah. So now you're going to do another, talk us through this one. This is another demonstration using the hard eraser.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show you a different way to use the eraser, which we're actually going to be doing a lesson on later on in the course. This is where I want you to do this as well later on in the demo. I just want you to put lots of graphite on the paper, and then I actually take my hard eraser and I'm using it almost like it's almost like a drawing tool, isn't it, Caroline?
Yeah.
I'm using it to draw through.
Eraser, it's sort of like, yeah, it's a great way of draw. I love it. One of my favorites. So now,
and a lot of the impressionists, they use this technique, didn't they, Caroline, with the charcoal?
yeah, absolutely, because you're kind of using your pencil, your eraser to draw and to kind of show. And then you see Katie's now just using a little bit of her finger to soften it up, and now it looks like, you know, little moon kind of hanging in the sky. You can imagine the different things you can do with this, and you're definitely going to be getting some experience using it in this particular way.
Yeah, and then you can go back in with your kneaded eraser as well to soften up. We talk about using your eraser to create texture. So you can almost like use it to blot off and create some texture in your drawing. So all of these little kind of skills and things will just help you kind of have your range of.
Exactly. One of my students says, you know, you artists have lots of tricks. Okay, so here now, we're now going to talk to you about drawing paper versus sketching. You need both. And we're going to tell you how to determine whether drawing paper is right or not. And the main thing is the surface, and you'll see it on the front medium surface. And then what's really important is that you get an 80-pound or upwards. That's nice and strong, thick paper. So look at how many pounds it is. Now, for your sketch paper, you really like, this is more of a fine tooth surface, and it's 60-pound. So you can get, this is much cheaper to buy, and you can get lots of it, right, Katie?
Yeah, exactly. You'll definitely need lots of sketch paper, so a 50-pound or a 60-pound paper, because what we're going to be doing during this kind of starting course is almost like exercises. So you'll need lots and lots of kind of
This is
sketch.
a fine tooth. This is, look, this is 50 pounds. So totally fine for doing like fast exercises, but you'll need your 80-pound. By the time we do the third video lesson, you'll need 80-pound, because we're going to be doing a finished drawing on that. So you can see quite sufficient to do, a lighter paper for the earlier exercise. Now here you've got a watercolor paper, and this says watercolor is cold press finish. And here it says 90 pounds, so that's even thicker. And the cold press, that means that it's got a little bit of what we call a tooth, or it's got a texture. So when Katie draws on it, you can see that, yeah, when it goes down, it has a texture. Now, you might want that, and you're welcome to use it, but definitely be aware that your watercolor paper is generally gonna, if it says cold press, is gonna have a tooth, which means a texture. And then finally, now we get to our blending tools, and these are called tortillons. They are like little rolls of paper that are like blotting paper that are rolled around and around in a tube and go to a point. And now Katie's going to do a little exercise to show what they do. So talk us through this, Katie.
Yeah, so when I use tortillons and blending stumps, as they're sometimes called, it's a way of, like I say, blending the graphite that's already on the paper and giving, a smoother finish. This is something that's very helpful when we're talking about tonal values, and it's something that we definitely want you to practice. So this is something you will need in your tools. You can see here some of the graphite has come off onto the end of the tortillon, which I can then use to actually draw with, which is kind of interesting and kind of a helpful way. So it's a lighter mark. But yeah, this is something that will give a smoother finish. So yeah, you just be aware of that and use it appropriately. And we'll go through that obviously with the more
There are
techniques.
different sizes of them. And if you buy a package of materials, it usually comes with different sizes of blending stumps, or
right.
blending sticks or tortillons. And so now we're ready actually for you to take a break and actually play around with your tools and do the exercises. These exercises are recommended on our book on page 9 and 10. So the first one, we want you to take out your pencils as Katie demonstrated. You can go back through the video if you need to. So you get it and line them up in sequence from hard to black. And then I want you to doodle with each pencil to see the difference between the HBs and the Bs and the 6Bs. And then practice using the different types of erasers once you have them. And then notice the front of your drawing and the sketch pads and actually start to look at them and be aware of where to find how many pounds it is. That means how thick it is, and the different types of paper, you know, whether it's a fine tooth or whether it's a hard, like the different types. And then practice using your tortillons once you have them. And then you'll be ready and all set for the rest of these exercises. And yeah, so have fun and then just turn your video back on at this point when you're done. You can just turn it off at this point and then turn it back on, and then you're ready to get going, right, Katie?
That's right. Let's do it.
Katie, now we know about our materials and what they are and what they do. Now we need to go to the next big step, which is what do you do with them? And the first thing is that, you know, your whole life when you're drawing is controlled by you, between you and your pencil or pen.
That's
So
right.
it behooves you to know a little bit about how to hold it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our next section, is how to hold your pencil and or your pen, or but particularly your pencil. And then after that, we're going to learn about how to make some basic lines and shapes. Okay.
Exactly. Let's get to it.
Okay. So now we're going to start lesson 2. This is all about how to hold your pencil. And this really is quite critical in learning to draw, because you're only relying on using your pencil. So you need to know the different ways to hold it, because that affects the character of what you do, how to shade, how to draw lightly or dark or heavily, so on and so forth. So it's really important. So we're going to start with the tripod grip, which is the regular way you hold your pencil. And Katie is going to do a little demo here showing you what you can do with your tripod grip. So you can see she's held it right down. So why don't you talk us through this, Katie?
Yeah, so this is a grip you would normally use for writing. This is the grip most of us use. But you can also use it for a detailed work when you're drawing.
And notice that you're putting your hand, or you're resting your hand on the paper, correct?
That's right. So I'm using that for support. So that's definitely something that you need to practice. And as you can see here, I'm doing very detailed work, but you can't really see what you're drawing. So yeah, that's something to note.
Yeah, but you can see that it's very detailed. And so that is your tripod. And now we come to the drumstick grip. Very important because this is used for light shading, and because you can actually hold your pencil on its side. So Katie's going to demonstrate that. And also you can find a full description of how to actually hold the pencil in the book. So here you see she's holding it. So she opens her hand, puts it in, and then she grabs it from the top. And now she can do very light shading. So tell us what you're doing, Katie.
Yeah, so I'm holding it very lightly. That's the other thing. I'm not gripping it really hardly. I'm actually just lightly supporting my hand there. Yeah, and I can do some shading. This manner allows you to make lots of marks in kind of laying it flat against the paper.
And the paintbrush grip is similar, but
yeah.
you can hold it like a tripod, or you can hold it you can hold it in drumstick, but it's really far down. And now you're working with the tip again, as if you had a paintbrush in your hand. So Katie will show you this. And again, she's just kissing the paper, right, Katie?
Yeah, it's perfect, this one, for creating delicate and light marks. So you can see here, I'm holding it at the end of the pencil, between my index finger and my thumb, and I'm just gently kissing the paper. You can do slightly harder marks so you can see it, but this is a great one because doing light marks is extremely important, isn't it, Caroline, when you're starting
Yeah,
to
we'll
draw?
we'll have a little bit of a chat. Next, we'll do the top heavy. And there you can see it's the same as a drumstick, but the finger's right the way down on at the end of the paper. And this allows her to shade very heavily. So you can see this one. So yeah, the drumstick and top heavy are both held the same way, but just different locations on the pencil.
Yeah.
So you can see same thing, but right far down. Now, talk us through this, Katie.
Yeah, so this is a great one for shading, but it means that I can put a lot of pressure on the paper, and I can create some really dark lines. It's great for it's great for detailed drawings, but your
Expressive drawing too.
yeah, exactly.
Has a
Yeah,
really interesting character. I kind of like it. It's very
yeah.
strong and
And
powerful.
when you're doing all these, you'll notice that you're using different muscles.
Yeah, so now here's the inverted grip. So this is one neither Katie or I were used to, but we've learned. So talk us through this one, Katie.
Yeah, I actually, having done these exercises myself, I'm still learning. This is a really great one for creating very playful marks. So you can see here, I'm holding it. It's the pencil is resting between my forefinger, and I'm stabilizing it with my thumb and my lower fingers. It should actually, the pencil should go backwards, so you can actually see a really clear picture of what I'm drawing. And you can really create some lovely mark making there. So yeah,
And it kind of like loosens you up a little bit, you
yeah,
know?
it does. It really
Well,
does.
all the actions with your wrist on this. A lot of it is with your
Yeah,
wrist, your elbow, as well as
exactly.
your fingers. Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Love that, Mark. So now it's time to take a break. So I want to go over one thing to begin with, and we talked a little bit about this, and that is drawing softly. So with the drumstick and the paintbrush grip, you can make very, very gentle, soft lines. And this is important in future exercises because as beginning artists, you don't want to make too heavy lines because you're going to be erasing and it just makes it harder, right, Katie?
Oh, completely. Yeah, very important to start off with light marks and
So
graduate.
drawing lightly with the paintbrush and inverted grip, moving your elbow and shoulder to make marks, holding your pencil on the side with the drumstick and the top heavy grip. So take some time to do this. Don't rush it. You'll find the exercises on page 10. Katie, what happens if they don't have the book?
So if you don't have the book, it's available to download in your library with your Joy of Drawing Club membership. So yeah, it's all there available as a PDF.
Awesome. So that means that we're ready to go to the next section of our lesson, correct?
Great, yeah, let's get started.
Awesome. So lesson 3, we've called types of lines. Now you've learned the different ways to hold your pencil, different types of things you can do with it. And here is a lovely quote that we have from the book. A line is a dot that went for a walk. Paul Klee, who did this particular playful drawing, was a famous artist from the 20th century. You may be familiar with him, but he was also a famous teacher at the Bauhaus, which was an important thing. And here we show you to start with a little exercise on how to draw straight lines. And here you can see that the paper is on at an angle, and we've got it at an angle because it matches the natural sweep of your arm from if you're righty, it goes lower left to upper right, if you kind of see that. So we match the paper to the natural sweep. If you're a lefty, of course, it would be the other way. So here you can see Katie is able to draw pretty straight lines quickly just by moving her paper to just, and it's more comfortable, isn't it, Katie?
Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of like something you may do naturally, but it's a real revelation actually when you
turn the paper instead of your arm, you know, like much easier. So do that. Now we've come to curvy or wavy lines, and this we do in twos or S curves, sometimes known as S curves. And Katie's going to demonstrate that to you. And you'll see that she's standing up and holding her pencil in the paintbrush method. And so because this is a very expressive, talk us through this, Katie.
Yeah, so I'm holding my pencil about 3/4 way down. I can do some really nice S curves. I can support my elbow if necessary. So I'm using before you were using your elbow for the straight lines, you need to start practicing some nice large curves now by moving your elbow. Yeah.
Very interesting. And you're supporting it, holding it, but she's moving her elbow to do this. You can see how she's actually doing that. And now we're going to give you a little exercise about circles. And Buckminster Fuller says, whenever I draw a circle, I want to step out of it. Yet another quote from our book. And we're going to show you a really interesting fact about drawing circles by hand, as opposed to using a mechanical tool to help you. And it's a little tool that we found, or a little exercise that we think will help you. So Katie will be demonstrating this. So talk us through this, Katie.
Yeah, so I think when most of us start to draw a circle, we use the wrist, right? So you're kind of up close to the paper. But what I'm doing here is actually I'm using my shoulder. So you can see here I'm actually moving my shoulder around, and I'm going around and around and around until I create the natural circle there.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, you can also just do this sitting down at the desk, but she's
absolutely. Yeah, this was just so you could see really clearly about that you can see I'm using my my shoulder, and I can do really big ones, and I can actually do quite small ones as well. So have a go at that.
So this is the time for you to take another break. And you can go back over these exercises that are in detail in the book on page 11, and do the exercise on drawing straight lines, move your paper around. If you're a lefty, it's the other way around, drawing wavy lines, S curves, and drawing circles, okay? So over and over until it really you feel competent and confident that you can do each type of exercise, right, Katie?
Yeah, exactly. Have a go, especially the circles and all of them. Have a go and really, relax and enjoy it.
Sounds terrific. And we'll see you now for the final exercise. That's our next thing. So let's go there next. So here's our final exercise, which we've entitled Art with a Heart, because we recommend that you actually do this exercise using a heart as your shape, but you could use any shape, if that you prefer. But here you've seen that you can actually use a pen or a pencil. Any type of pen will work. A Sharpie fine tip is perfect if you've got one hanging around. So you draw your shape, and then you draw shapes within the shape. And then each shape that you draw contains a different type of pattern. And you can find sample patterns at the end of the book, of this chapter of the book. You can also find them online just by typing in something like doodle patterns, and you'll get all kinds of things on images. So there's lots of different inspirations that you can use for your patterns. And now we've got a little speeded up demo that you can see here by Katie. So talk us through this, Katie.
Yeah, so as you can see here, I've done 3 hearts just so I can show a real kind of difference in the different marks. But what we want you to do is really take your time, relax, enjoy the practice of drawing and mark making. So you can see here, I'm using just a kind of a general gel pen. You can use anything. You can use a pencil, you can use a biro, but just something that you enjoy using and you like the feel of. That's what's really important.
Katie, they don't know what a biro is. That's so English.
Sorry, just a general pen is absolutely fine. Yeah, but you can see here I've taken the time to split each heart into sections, and then within that section I'm doing a different pattern. With this one, I decided that I thought, why not? Let's do some flowers. But again, I'm taking the time to really just make the marks be almost meditative, I would say, wouldn't you, Caroline?
Yeah, and that's why we really want you to spend some time on this, because we want you to experience the joy of drawing. We want you to see that, you know, it can take a bit of time to get something that's that you're really proud of, and that's like part of the experience of part of the journey is the, you know, just the fun. Like, see how Katie just keeps adding different little shapes, different patterns. It's a good idea if you've got something like, you know, um, some way to listen to music, turn some music on, right, Katie?
Yeah, definitely. Music is a really great way of kind of switching off and being in the moment. I do this sometimes with my daughter if she's been particularly frantic or something. We sit down and we just draw together, and it's a really pleasurable thing to do. But yeah, just have a go. Like Caroline said, if you don't know what to draw, have a look around you, have a look on the internet, look on our book, and just get going and start. And I think you'll find it.
There's a whole trademarked group called Zentangle,
Oh yeah.
who do this. You know, people do this to relax. They share. There's a whole community called Zentangle, and you know, they share their different. You can find Zentangle patterns. You know, on the internet, you can just ask Zentangle patterns. It's a lovely group, and it's just people all over the world that just share their work. So we want you to finish up yours, and then we're going to actually tell you how to share your work, you know, in some detail, because from here on out, you're going to be doing drawings in your exercises, and we want to be able to see them, and we want you to share them with others, just like Katie will share this gorgeous. I just love this, Katie. So pretty.
Yeah, it was fun to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, the next stage is that we want you to actually share your drawings with us.
And
And
this is interesting, isn't it, Katie? Because sharing drawings, you know, you would think, well, you can just take a photograph and that'll be sufficient. But we recommend that you use an app. And if you have an iPhone, then you can use the Notes app for this particular thing, which we've demonstrated. If you don't, if you can scan on your computer or you can scan on your printer, use that. But you open it up, tap a new note, and then you'll see a little camera there. And when you tap the camera, you can select scan, scan documents. This is really very, very useful. It's a way to capture your photographs before you upload them and share them with us. And it'll, you know, if you're not experienced at taking photos, you'll tend to find that the photos you take of your drawings are very dark, and you can't really see them, and it doesn't really do justice to them. So that's why we're recommending that you use this method. You don't have to, but you know, it's a way that you can do it. So once you've actually tapped scan documents, then you'll line up your image, as you can see on the left, and then you'll tap the white button and click it, and then you can adjust it and until you like it. And then once you tap done, then it saves it, and you can even edit it, and you can either screenshot it to save it as a photo, or you can just save it as a PDF, and you can then upload it and share it with us, which is the whole point of this, is that you share your work. And throughout these lessons, you'll be doing different exercises, and we definitely want to see the results. And so here, Katie is going to show you, after you've scanned or photographed, how you can share your drawings to the community page, right, Katie?
yeah, that's right. So in the next video, I'm going to be going exactly through each screen, right from login, right to up to sharing your drawings with us. So you go to mobileartacademy.com/login and log in as usual. And when you sign in,
it should take you to either the first page, which is the Mobile Art Academy page, and you click on My Library, or it'll go directly to My Library page. So you want to get to My Library page, which looks like this. And then you go down and you find the Joy of Drawing community. This is the product that you want. So you click on Start. And that'll take you to the community page. And then you'll see the feed of what everyone's posting. And you can click on here where it says write something, and it'll open a box that has a camera icon, a video icon, and also a link icon. The one that you want is the camera icon. So you click on that one, and then that will take you into your computer. And you click on choose file, and that will open your desktop. Mine's Mac, so it's gone to my desktop. And I'm going to click on this one here, which is my drawing that I want to upload. Click on open. There you go, and that takes you to the file. And then all you have to do is press save like this, and that will upload to the community page. That just might take a few minutes to do that. And once it's safely in there, you can click on post. You can write something if you want to say, this is what I drew this morning while I was out on a walk. And then all you do is post, and then that will upload to the page. Okay, there you go.
So we've come to the end of the first lesson, right, Katie?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was great.
So now it's up to you. You've got how long have they got? 2 weeks, right, before you get the next one?
That's right. So you've got 2 weeks between now and your next video lesson. So go ahead and start uploading once you've done all your drawings. And yeah, we can't wait for the next one. What's up next?
Well, next it's chapter 2, because these are pretty much following the chapters. So the next chapter here actually starts with a drawing you did, Katie.
Yeah.
I always loved that drawing of an apple. And it's called Textures and Patterns. And you're going to learn the basic ways of making marks and making textures and patterns. And it's really fun. And we'll have a lot of demonstrations for you. And finally, Katie, what do we do at the end of the chapter? Do you remember? This was your idea. And we began that when we were art hiking. The final thing we do is we go on a scavenger hunt.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one. I love that one.
Yeah, so you're going to need some little bits and pieces. Well, we'll show you. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is going to be your first actual drawings. However, as a reminder, when you do your art with a heart, or any type of drawing that you do, please do share it. As I showed you how in the last video. So share it with us, because we really want to see what you do.